Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shonen and Chill, hosted by Zenrotto and Oceaniz.
Hello, hello, folks. I'm glad to be back with you again. A little late this week, but
A
that's
little
all
late
right.
this week, life happens, life hits.
It
John Shonen
happens.
Jump chooses not to release the magazine on time.
Mr. Jonathan Jump, deciding to be a little légère with the release
Just
date. That's
chilling
okay.
out, hey, just like us, right?
Yeah,
It's all
exactly.
he got the idea from us, so
That is. I mean, he does watch the show
we
religiously.
we know that for a fact. Yeah, he watches the show all
Yes.
the time. So
Every time after a show, he goes up to Horikoshi and he's like, "Hey, they hated you again." And he's like, "Oh."
Hey,
No,
it was
actually,
awful.
he's more like, "Okay, I guess I'm making another all for one chapter."
It's just a ring of spite at this point.
Well, either way, Mr. John Jump has been popping off at least this last week with the release of Chainsaw Man Part 2, which we will cover the first chapter of because the second chapter has come out sort of in the process of us setting up here. So we'll just cover that next episode, isn't that right?
Yeah, it's only out because this episode is coming out late, so just to keep things organized, we'll cover chapter 2 of Chainsaw Man next week, and this week we'll only talk about chapter 1.
Absolutely. Are there any other news?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think it's been a
like
pretty tame week news-wise.
oh shit, no, there's big news for you, Zen. There's My Hero Academia Hero Fest happening this weekend.
Oh, you're right. That's giant news for me. I need to go there so I can get murdered in public by mass crowds of sweaty Dekus.
Actually, you know what? I retract. I'm not even sure if it's this weekend. It might be in a month. Wait, no. Jump Festa is in December. Uh, and Hero Fest is beforehand, so it might actually be this week. I don't know. Someone's gonna correct me. Please correct me. This is important news to my life. I need to know when Hero Fest is. Need to know if I have to order the Deku wig already.
Gotta get the Sharpie freckles going.
No. Like the wig is the only costume I'm wearing. Nothing else. Low effort cosplay.
I'm about it.
Mm.
I'm about it.
Yeah, but besides that, I don't think so. Anything special.
No, if you count it as special, which we probably should have brought it up before, Saint Seiya, another classic manga, has finally been added to the Shonen Jump app. If you want to
Oh,
read that.
really?
Yeah, Knights of the Zodiac, Saint Seiya.
Oh, damn. All right. That is
I don't
actually
know.
very good.
Yes, I don't know why it was randomly put on. There was no like, hey, this is coming soon. It was on there one day.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, probably just like a random like licensing thing that ran out or that finally was approved, and so they just
yeah,
dropped
must
it.
have been. But yeah, all 110 chapters plus a 111th chapter that's like an art book sort of thing. They just have like character designs and stuff in it. It's pretty
Okay,
neat.
cool.
So if you're a fan of classic manga and you haven't read Saint Seiya, you should check it out.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. But in that case, I guess that's it.
I think so. I think that makes it top 3 time.
Oh God. Do I go? Okay.
You go first.
So
Yeah.
insider information, right from behind the scenes of Shonen and Chill. I don't fucking think about these things before you ask me. I have no clue beforehand. It's always sort of off the cuff, but I think this time it's number 3, Undead Unluck.
Okay.
Number 2, My Hero, not sleeping on the couch this week. And number 1 is Jujutsu Kaisen, just because I think this chapter is one of the funniest things like ever from
Okay.
Jujutsu Kaisen. Like just
Okay.
pure comedy.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. So my number 3 is My Hero. My number 2 is Jujutsu Kaisen, and my number 1 is Chainsaw Man.
Oh fuck! I didn't even count Chainsaw Man.
Uh-oh.
Okay, move everything down. Like number 1 is Chainsaw Man because Chainsaw Man was really good. Number 2 is Jujutsu Kaisen. Number 3 is My Hero. So we have the same
exactly
ones.
the same then. Now that you remember Chainsaw Man exists.
Damn, we have synced up again after bribing the judge. How crazy is that?
Wow.
Wow.
We're really on the same wavelength here. Whoa.
We rigged the game and we won? What? Hashtag real?
Just one of those YouTube thumbnails of both of us with giant surprise faces.
Yeah. Like just both of us like going crazy at like a shitty paint version of All for One and just NFTs question mark. Oh my god, if you have any picture of you that you're okay with using in a thumbnail, I would actually make that.
Alright, I need to find one that's useful.
Oh god, I mean, I was thinking since we're approaching like big numbers now, I was thinking of changing up the thumbnail format again.
Oh my god, that might have to be the thumbnail we make for the 100th episode.
Just both of us soy facing.
Yes.
Oh god. This is gonna bite us in the ass in a couple of
Oh,
weeks.
100%, yes. We're gonna
Yeah.
get to that episode and be like, oh fuck, we said we were gonna do that.
Also, you know what I just realized? This is episode 81. So that means we have 19 weeks left to the 100th episode. I'm pretty sure episode 100 might be on the weekend of Jump Festa.
Really?
Yeah, because I saw someone say today that Jump Festa is 20 or 19 weeks from now.
Perfect.
And it just
See, that planned from the beginning.
On the 100th episode, live on the air, they announce My Hero Academia: The Adventures of Beku, and I just fall on my knees. I just fall to my knees and I just give up.
Bizuku Midoriya.
Oh, I can't wait. Which
And
is
the
actually not his son.
The kid's actually just a jerk and he goes and hangs out with Bakugo more instead.
Yeah, but he's actually not a son. He's another clone made by All for One, who's obviously Deku's dad. But he needed a backup.
All for One just lives in the town now like Orochimaru and Boruto. He just like hangs out and does shitty things, but no one cares.
It's like, All. They just call him Al. Change his name to Al for One.
Just take out one of the L's.
Yeah. No, he disappears, and then fucking 20. It's set 20 years later, and the first sentence of the sequel is somehow All for One returned.
It's just All for One again, but he has like slightly different hair and sunglasses on, and he's like, "No, that's not me."
Oh my god. What if, imagine, it becomes like JoJo, but instead of the protagonists sort of always being the Joestars, it's just always All for One being the villain. Against different sets, like different reshufflings of the main cast.
So he can just ruin as many series as possible.
Yes, it's just like an AI generated manga at that point.
It's like that photo generator people use where they give it ridiculous prompts. Except it's just All for One versus.
Oh my fuck. Every time I've tried to use that, it's been like overloaded, but I really want to try something like All for One versus Joe Biden now. I need to find that again. But
I swear to God, the way that we talk about All for One, you'd think we didn't hate him.
Well, the thing is, we don't hate him as long as he's in our heads and not in my fucking
true.
manga.
Our version of All for One slams. It's way better.
I think All for One could be improved with the addition of dementia. Yeah. All for One. Actually, All for One is similar to Naoya in that sense, where like if you take him as a joke character, he's so good. But when you try to take him seriously, that's when problems start arising. And I don't even mind Naoya that much. But it's sort of in that same category where it's like, I pretend you're a gag because you're just so funny that way.
That's fair. Yeah, I can see that.
Do we want to talk about manga?
Yeah, we should probably start talking about manga.
All right.
So that would put the first one on the list. Technically, it would be Chainsaw Man, but one, it made both of our lists, and two, it got jumped up in the order because the one released today. So it's going to be Earthchild that's first on the list.
I want to start by saying I saw a comment last week of someone going like, "Oh, Oceans is always so nice to the series that he likes. It's so unfair." And I'm like, that's how that works.
That's what liking things means, my dude.
Yeah.
I don't understand that statement.
Because, for example, I did not like this chapter quite as much as last one. Mostly because, I don't know, it felt very cramped. I didn't think it gave this sweet moment with the picture enough room to breathe. But it was fine. Otherwise,
listen.
Yeah.
You promised me that this little girl was just a hallucination, and now she's back again. Looking right at me. Looking right at me in that top panel of 19 and 20.
No, you see, she was an hallucination, but then John Jump heard me and said, "Oh, I'm about to ruin this man's whole career." Add her in every manga.
I do like the visual of the world being the lollipop. I kind of like that. But also, why? Were we right that the big bad of this series is the Earth?
I guess. I mean,
it kind of looks that way.
I did say 2 weeks ago or last week, whenever she was introduced, that her being an hallucination is probably me copium. But I was hoping that I was at least not entirely wrong. But hey, I'll take the L on this one. Yeah, this kind of sucks.
Yeah. Also, I like how older Mamoru looks like Sasuke or like Sai. It's just like this. How did you turn out like this, my child?
It just turns out that the Earth just gives you a Sharingan. That's why your eyes are fucked up. But no, like I'm not super hot on this whatever this continuation is going to be. As far as like the story of the parents goes, I thought it was a sweet wrap up. As I said, a little cramped, a little very full of stuff happening.
Yeah, it was a lot those pages. For like 19 pages, it was a lot.
Yeah. And also, I found out apparently Earthchild is like deathly unpopular.
Yes. I mean, literally everywhere.
Which is odd because like I feel like at worst it's unremarkable if you really don't vibe with sort of the very sort of schmaltzy I must save my wife premise. And I mean, I admit I give it a lot of good boy points simply because it is about adults, which is something it's dropping now since it's going to be about Mamoru. But yeah, I kind of can't imagine actually like having actual negative feelings towards it that go beyond, oh, it's kind of nothing.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever done anything bad enough to actually be like hate worthy. It's just kind of there on its worst days.
Yeah, like the worst thing I think.
Well, first of all, I think the fact that it's deathly unpopular is probably why we're shifting to Mamoru only, because now it's like time for the ace little kid to do things. And I have a feeling that a lot of the things he's going to do are going to be more action related than we've gotten so far. It's time for Earthchild to shift into a battle shonen like every other shonen that's about to get canceled.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But it really feels like it's a completely different series in these last few pages. Like the last few pages literally feel like he's saying, okay, all that shit that we just did is gone. It's time for me to fight, I guess, God. Also, I don't know who the little girl is actually supposed to be. The Earth.
Actually, I just realized the Earth Girl's hair has like a gradient that turns into the texture of the ocean. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like water.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the worst thing it did, I think, storytelling wise, is when our main guy basically just didn't die because he loves his family so much. Which if you put it on paper like that, it kind of sucks. But also, it was a raw as fuck moment, so who cares? But yeah, no, these last couple of pages feel odd. But again, I've said it before. I've gotten what I wanted out of this series, so wherever it goes, I'm probably not gonna be too mad about it. Like obviously, it'll be a shame if this like gets canceled or becomes something completely different, much lesser than what I thought it was before. But as I said, like the narrative for me was the parents, and that seems to have wrapped up, and I'm good. I was happy with what I got.
Like kind of like I said, it almost feels like we're going into something different, and like the
Yeah.
previous thing is what I liked. So if it's gone, so be it. But at the same time, like it concluded, and I was content with the story that we got. So
Turns out now it's gonna actually go into like a episodic weekly comedy gag series. And its big event is going to be a crossover with Witch Watch. Yeah. The Earth Girl is gonna ask them for help because she lost her lollipop. And they're gonna shoot her in the head.
I'd be okay with that.
Hire me, John Shonen Jump. I heard
Checks
you're
in the
hiring
mail.
new editors. But yeah, Earthchild was an okay out of 10. I no skin off my back, basically.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All right, next up is Aliens Area.
Yeah, that whole thing about it being very cramped. Boy.
Oh god, dude. Holy shit. This chapter might be the worst of all of it when it comes to just like visual space.
Yeah, there are like a couple of pages where I was like, just make that a double spread, my guy. Like just
Yeah, for
commit
the love of
to
God.
that.
Like the repulsion reveal page. Like
Yeah.
why is that cramped up on half a page? And then also like the spacewalking could have been more. The scene where he's fighting them could have been more. The actual conclusion of the fight could have been more.
Mhm.
Man, this series that doesn't know what to do with page space at all.
I mean, okay, to give him the benefit of I don't know the doubt, just to in all fairness, double spreads do not look good in their physical form in the magazine, right? Like you've got the fold in the middle, and
Sure.
you have to be very like I do get that, but at the same time, other authors just kind of cope with it. So I feel like there's no reason that this series seems to be so afraid of doing them because the one double spread it has this chapter is also just cramped as fuck. Like
Well,
this
and
when
again,
he
it's like
catches the beam.
there are so many like superfluous panels in this series that take up so much room in everything that's going on. Like again, we still have the anime reaction panels. We have so many of those that feel like there's absolutely no reason for them to be there. Like we still do the whole thing where we have like one giant panel and then like 8 panels stacked up on the side like a bookshelf. We do that 3 or 4 more times in this chapter. I don't know, man. Like page 12 is literally only 3 panels and I'm still like, what the fuck? Why?
Yeah, but
what is this little tiny side panel of Shiraku doing something? Like what?
Well, yeah, but that's a double spread. So that side pack actually, now that I'm looking at this double spread is also constructed weirdly because if you're imagining this, yeah, he can't be worried about the physicality of the magazine,
Right? Because it would be right in the center of the Shiraku picture.
Also, if you look at to the second half of the double spread, page 13, that's how I feel while reading this manga visually. Just completely scrunched.
Squashed.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it's annoying because I can see what he was doing with this double spread. Like, you have the beam coming in from the right, and so you immediately have like a directional line, and then it collides on our main guy, and then you have the top panel, sort of his reaction shot, which very naturally follows that one up. Then you have the Shiraku panel, which is kind of whatever, and then you have the scrunched panel on the far left side, which almost looks like it's reacting to the momentum of the beam coming in from the right. Like it's cool. It's a cool idea, but executed not great, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. Which is a massive shame. Also, I already know we're gonna get comments about how it's already getting repetitive, talking about like the structure on pages. But you gotta realize there's almost nothing else to talk about.
There's nothing. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people seem to like it, or at least we get a person in the comments at least every week talking about how great it is. I am not feeling it, man. Like I don't hate it. It's kind of like what you said with Earthchild. It's very nothing. It's just like here.
Yeah,
I open it every week and I ingest it and then I close it and then I think about it not again until I have to read it again for the show.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, it's just a bunch of nothing to me. I did think the way they talk about dark energy and dark matter was kind of interesting. Where they're like, yeah, if we don't understand it, we just call it dark. I was like, okay, that's yeah,
Yeah, and he's
that's
like, we
that's
just
fine.
call it dark because it sounds kind of cool,
Yeah.
so we just do it.
Um. But yeah, it just feels like a series that's trying very hard to, I don't know, to go through the shonen motions. But I don't know what it is. If it's like maybe a lack of confidence, perhaps that it doesn't commit to the big risks and the big panels, that it wants to cram everything together so that you're rushing through these panels, these pages as quickly as possible. um and yeah, it's just odd. And again, I mean, we talked about it 2 weeks ago, maybe even longer, how like the main character is not the main character. It's very much a Senku situation where you have a sidekick who's just
Mm-hmm.
infinitely more interesting, or supposed to be. um doesn't help that Shiraku kind of looks like off-brand Senku
He does
though.
have some Senku vibes. Yeah, he really does. Like physically, even.
Hmm.
And the other guy, whose name I don't even know because who gives a shit? He doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Um, he looks like Kaiju, so it's like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I get what the series wants, like the vibe the series wants to have in that final panel of this chapter, where it's sort of like it's this buddy cop alien shonen. And that's a cool idea. That should be really nice. But so far, it's just fairly unimpressive. And this was the end of what I assume its first like mini arc. And yeah, so far it has not convinced me all that much. Like, I definitely would not be reading this if it weren't for the show, essentially.
Yeah, 100% agreed. If we weren't already talking about it, I probably would have dropped it. It's not bad enough for me to cancel it like we did with some of the earlier shit.
Mhm.
It's just kind of there. It's very whatever. It exists out of 10.
Yeah, exactly.
So next up on the list is Witch Watch. Speaking of, it
Man.
exists. Boy, this sure does.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was kind of funny when he's like, "Oh, I have researched all of these mythical creatures, and I know I got to be right." And he's like, "Yeah, I live with them."
Yeah, it's me.
Like, that was cool.
I also
Yeah.
like that this dude is a descendant of Dr. Jekyll, and he's like, that story's like fictional, right? And he's like, yeah.
He
So
doesn't even acknowledge it.
no, he just moves on. And then I
Like,
guess
yes.
he drinks the Mr. Hyde out of him when he absorbs his energy or something.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I don't care either.
Yeah. Like, honest to God, I don't want to talk about Witch Watch.
Yeah, I don't want to waste of fucking time.
Yeah,
If you
whatever.
like a gag manga, this one is certainly one of them.
Yes.
Um, Next up is Mashle.
Hey, this was pretty cool, I guess.
It was okay. It had some decent jokes in it. I really liked the joke where the cat carves 666 into his cheek. Thought that
Yes.
was fucking funny.
Mm.
Um, I also like with the guy trying to like be defiant again, and then he pulls out the sand that he said he was gonna shove up his ass, and he immediately is like, "Okay, yes, sir, this way."
Yes, that was also pretty good.
But other than
Um,
that, it was again pretty much. It was some cool setup at the end,
yeah,
where
for
they
sure. But
all
it was,
started facing off against the people they're gonna fight. But eh.
yeah. I mean, this is sort of a setup chapter. Honestly, feels a little like filler in places.
This whole
Um,
section kind of does, doesn't it?
yeah. I mean, now we have yet another way to delay Mash's
With the we're
revival.
still with the fucking key. Like Jesus,
This fucking crocodile child has outlasted.
Shugamaru crocodile has
Yeah,
lasted longer than Shugamaru itself.
it has outlasted Shikamaru almost by double at this point. I feel like that's probably not true, but it
It's probably
feels
not
like
true,
it.
but it really does feel like it. He won't go away. He's become my poster child for this terrible arc of like nothing. It's this
Mhm.
fucking crocodile boy.
Yeah. Cute panel of Lemon there at the
Yeah,
end, I guess.
Lemon at the end coming to save the day, and then I'm gonna be really annoyed if the joke at the end is that Lemon also can't move it, so they're still in trouble and they still can't revive him.
Oh, bro, you know that's gonna be it for sure.
I know, and it's just fuck,
Mhm.
man. I don't know. I
So it
just
is
hope the
cool that we're
fights are
getting.
cool. As long as the fights are cool, it'll be fine.
Yeah, whatever. And I mean, we'll have the anime sooner rather than later, so hopefully that'll sort of reawaken the hype a little.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just hard to get
but
excited about what feels like a here. Look at this while I figure out what I'm gonna do for the end.
yeah, yeah, that really is the issue. It feels like stalling for time, just sort of trying to distract us with whatever. Um, so yeah, that's unfortunate for a series that used to be such a highlight, but you get these phases. And that's fine.
Yeah,
It
it
happens.
happens.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Next up on the list is going to be the Elusive Samurai.
I am really liking Eye Guy as a villain.
Yeah, he's great. I love this dude. He's like he
Yeah.
might be my favorite part of the whole series.
Yeah, he in this one chapter it just sort of reframes him as just such a cool villain where he's just like, I respect you and I know you're a problem. From now on I cannot toy with you anymore. And it just immediately creates this interesting rivalry at what I thought was going to be the end of this guy's character arc. I will say his face on page 17 in the middle panel.
Where he's all distorted.
He's all angry. That's one of the funniest drawings so far.
I also really like page 14 when he hits the branch and his eyes pop out of his head.
Yes.
Also good.
But yeah, just very cool. Some of the art was a little crunched. If you look at page 11, especially, that one was a
Oh yeah,
bit of a full
a
one.
lot of shit going on here.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool, and I like the way that he won. It didn't feel like bullshit. It didn't feel like wow, he's just so good at dodging things. It was like an actual plan where he baited him by pretending to lose his balance because he knew that he would zone in on the shot and he would stop paying attention to his surroundings, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy a good plan like that. Makes the hero feel competent and not just like magically gifted. That he's actually
Mm-hmm.
like winning from good strategy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and again, so to return to Sadamune, he's just an interesting villain also now that we get sort of this little insight into him where he's like, as someone who can neither flee nor rule, I envy you. Like
yeah, where because he's
it's cool.
a different station in life and all that stuff.
Yeah. Also, final page is so good.
Yes, it is really good. Makes up for the Scrungle earlier.
Yeah, well, that's okay. As I said, honestly, the face on page 17 just makes this chapter for it's so funny. It looks like one of those like screaming like Reddit frogs or whatever, like those Pepes.
It does.
But yeah, no, this was a solid chapter. Not where I thought the series was gonna go. But hey, I now have a villain I actually really like in this series.
Yeah, I was very sure he was going to die here. Very happy he did not.
Yes, absolutely. And besides that, this was very much just the hey, I'm taking you seriously now, die chapter.
Yeah,
So there
it's
wasn't
like
much
a
else.
action slash setup chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But it was nice. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got Blue Box.
Which is, as always, a lot of feelings that I don't know quite how to categorize on the axis of positive and negative.
Yes.
Like that final double spread, that made my heart jump a little.
Mm-hmm.
She's there. They're having their little date.
She even grabbed his arm. And didn't they do a whole thing earlier about how they don't touch each other?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the rest of the chapter was honestly mostly sort of, I don't know, kind of almost comedy.
It was, yeah. I like this little comic relief dude here to save our sanity from all of this stress.
Yeah. And I like that, we have a chapter where it's like, oh yeah, she's wearing a maid outfit, but it's not like gross.
Yeah, there's not like the people aren't being weird. Well, there's the one guy that asks her out, but then gets immediately shut down. And yeah, no one's like getting freaky about it, which is good.
Yeah, like the most we get is that, oh, she's so pretty, which, yeah, you know, that's an emotion I can condone. Me, Mr. Moral superiority in manga. I'll allow it.
Approved.
Approved. I hope I just hit my desk. I hope that came through.
It didn't. But
Ah, fuck. That hurts so much though. It was for nothing.
All for nothing.
Hey, that's my favorite villain you're talking about there.
That's his son.
Yes.
It's gonna be Shigaraki's villain name.
No, Shigaraki's all for 2. But yeah, this was a pretty sweet chapter. I also liked sort of the moment where what is it? Where someone asks Shinatsu about, oh, you want to go do stuff then? And Taiki's already getting all up in his head. He's like, oh no, but that's when we're having our date. Is she gonna say yes to that too? And then immediately next page is, sorry, I got plans. And it's like, oh, that makes me feel the good stuff.
Yeah, it was because that's totally some shit that I would have done at that age. Is like I'd have heard someone ask to do something at the same time that me and the girl I liked were gonna do something, and my head would immediately be like, oh yeah, so they're gonna cancel on me. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Immediately.
Teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't miss them.
No, God no.
I mean, I do miss knees that didn't click every time I moved, but that's a different story.
The good and the bad.
Yeah, that is true. Not having to listen to adults is pretty bomb though, because now you are the adult.
Yeah, you are the adult. Some other adult tries to tell you what to do. You're just like, shut the fuck up.
I mean, you can listen to them, but it's up to you. You're free to just say, hey, I think you're full of shit. I think you're trying to sell me snake oil. Get off my property.
Get off my fucking lawn.
Which I would say if I had a property, but I don't, because housing prices.
There's not a chance I'm ever gonna have a lawn.
Oh, dude, I'll send you one.
Okay, I'll
like a rolled up one.
Yeah, I'll unroll it on my front porch.
Or like the living room. I mean, you have a dog.
I do. I have 2 dogs and a cat.
Yeah, they'll like it.
It's true. They will like it. I'll stop.
They'll probably poop on it.
That's okay. I can do that.
Yo, Zenrotto admits that he likes having poop in his living room. Yo.
Well, if it's on grass that's rolled up, you can just get rid of it afterward.
Sorry, we're exposing you. That's on the thumbnail. Just poop. And the 2 O's like censored. Dog, I
got
love
the mosaic effect over it.
I love it when people when full grown adults that make content for other adults censor themselves. And they're like, oh yeah, I was mad as heck. And I'm like, man, you're 42. I get not wanting to swear all the time, but come on, hell. You can't say hell.
A bad one. If you're not comfortable saying hell, you just need to fucking get over it.
Well, I get it if you're a parent and you're trying to not normalize swear words in your house, but if you're just an adult making videos or movies for other adults or whatever, then I find it a little suspect when you're then also incredibly anal about swear words. I just always find that again, not a problem, just sort of I don't vibe with that. But that's also because
if you're making content for kids or something,
yeah, of course. Yeah, that's of course. I mean, speaking of, that just reminded me. I once had someone in the comments going off about how their kids watch my videos and they're horrified at the fact that I swear as much as I do. That comment was under an Attack on Titan video, and I was like, "Lady, this is a rated M series. Why are your kids watching this shit?"
Yeah, they shouldn't be.
No, they should. Just because we watched Attack on Titan when we were 14 doesn't mean your kids should.
Yeah.
Well, I say we. You've not watched it.
Attack on Titan? No, I sure haven't.
A good move. And now we get the hate comments.
Yep, here they come.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, do we want to move on? I think we got our
Yes. We'll jump
fill
to
of blue box.
uh, next up being Akane-Banashi.
This was pretty good.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Consistently really good. I enjoyed her little moment of triumph.
Mm-hmm.
And man, the last page, more excited than I thought I would ever be for something from Akane-Banashi.
Right? Like it feels actually kind of monumental. Um, and I think it's because we've had like these pages for the last two contestants where they're like, oh, like their Rakugo is modern Rakugo or it's classic Rakugo, whatever. And now we get Akane's Rakugo, and instead of being like a crazy double spread, super stylish, we just get like a face off. And I'm just really curious to know like what's up with this old guy, because so far he really just seems like a nice dude.
Yeah, I mean, people were coming like, obviously he can't be a jerk in public, but it's like, you can. Yeah, you
I mean,
totally
he
can.
was.
Yeah.
He literally was. That's the inciting incident.
Yeah, so like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, he could still be sort of a scheming asshole who's nice in public but an asshole behind the scenes. But I find it would be more interesting if it was more nuanced than that.
Yeah, I would prefer it to have more depth than like he's twirling his mustache but hiding it. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Like maybe, honestly, maybe he just realized in hindsight that throwing out Akane's dad was actually a dick move, and that led to him, sort of reconsidering how he approaches
Being
his
less of a dick.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think so far this series has really tried to push this. I don't know how to even say it. Like this series feels like it has a good grasp on how people would realistically like grow and react to things. Like especially, and we see that especially again with this old guy, with Arakawa, where he basically like he says his position, but then he like tempers it with okay, but everyone else has enjoyed it, and you have, despite your youth, managed to make this story work for an audience. So clearly, I cannot sit here and call you bad. And I don't know, it just feels like the series has a good grasp on what makes sense for human beings to say and do. So I'm just very excited to see like what happened with this guy. What happened with Akane's dad? Like, was there a different issue? Because the other thing is, of course, this is more of a tinfoil hat thing. But we have never really heard of that incident from like a neutral party. We've only ever heard it from people who were sort of horrified at what happened. But maybe Akane's dad was not as hopelessly innocent as we thought. Maybe there was something else happening there.
Yeah, that because I mean that entire scenario. Yeah, I mean it is a little tinfoil hatty, but the whole scenario was essentially we've only heard about it from like you said, one side of it. People who are upset that it happened. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't actually like even really know details of it other than the very specific like, oh, this is all that happened, and then he kicked everyone out. But like no real explanation of why. Like that's kind of been the whole thing. Is like no one knows why. So
Yeah,
I know there's
like
got to be something to it.
the one thing I hope isn't the case is that he was actually a nice guy all along, and he threw them out because he knew they would excel better if they weren't associated with like a rock organization, which obviously wasn't true. Akane's dad is not doing well, so um but also like I don't know, now that I'm thinking about it, I think what I said isn't that likely because we do get accounts from other people that do describe Arakawa as fairly threatening, or like really do position him as like a big boss type of guy. Um, I mean, just a panel on page 16 of him doing Rakugo. Admittedly, that's from Akane, but still, I feel like at that point we are definitely meant to not necessarily question the fact that at some point, for whatever reason, he was a shithead.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's less likely that it was a misunderstanding or something, and probably if it's not just he's twirling his mustache in the background, it's probably
mhm.
something more akin to like he was a dick, is less of a dick now, dealing with his dick legacy. I don't know, but also his students seem to think he's a dick, so
Mhm.
it's hard to say.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, besides just that whole thing, I really liked sort of the the whole like progression of emotion we had this chapter where the senpai guy, he's like, oh, she's going to lose because there's absolutely no way she can keep her emotions in check in this situation. And Akane sorta gives us relief in that she seems very well collected. But we'll just see. I'm very excited. I'm really surprised how much mileage Akane-Banashi started getting out of Rakugo once it stopped focusing on the Rakugo.
Once it stopped showing the Rakugo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that little reveal where she's like, yeah, I don't like the guy, but I've seen him perform before. I like, I don't know, because the way the series kind of framed it has been this whole like, she's doing Rakugo for like vengeance, like she's
Mm-hmm.
the Batman of Rakugo, and it was
Mm-hmm.
nice for this one to be like, no, not really. Like she does it because she loves it, and she knows this guy is talented, but she just needs closure on this point,
Yeah.
and then she can keep doing what she loves. I like that framing of it a lot better.
Exactly. Like that kind of actually goes into what I was trying to say earlier, where it's sort of like it feels healthy and reasonable in a lot of the ways in how it writes characters. Like I think back on also the teacher when she was first sort of apprehensive about Rakugo, where she wasn't like, "Oh, this is a garbage career path," as like a bitchy, awful teacher to be opposed, but she was just sort of, "Look, you may like it now, but can this be a viable, like life-sustaining profession?"
Yeah,
And I
it
really
was
like
much more
this.
like, will you starve to death, as opposed to like, this is awful, and like the traditional like dream crusher she has to prove wrong.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
lot more just like nuanced than that.
Well, yeah, because a moment like that, and why it's kind of annoying, is that it's kind of a straw man, right? Like it kind of presents this idea that the only reason someone would oppose your creative journey is if they don't see the eminence of the art. They think your art is drivel. They think it is, not up with the great artists of the past, and you cannot succeed at it. And then you prove them wrong by showing them how great you are, yada yada. But
Mm-hmm.
that's, again, that's a straw man. The realistic worry your parents, your loved ones, your teachers have is it's good that you like this, and my opinion on it may be whatever, but will you, yeah, as you said, will you starve to death? I can sure as shit tell you that was the main thing I heard when I went into YouTube from everyone. It's like it's great you're doing this, but can you survive doing it? And so no, I really think Akane Banashi has a, I don't want to say uniquely good grasp on stuff like that, but it has a really strong yeah, it has a strength in showing this stuff, I think.
I would concur with that.
Mm-hmm. All right, what's next?
All right, next up. Uh, oh no, it got kicked off of your list by Chainsaw Man.
Yes,
So next up would
yes,
be Undead Unluck.
which was really good.
It was cool. I like Billy.
I love Billy.
I think his
Now that
power
I
is
know,
neat too.
yeah, now that I know his deal, I fucking love Billy. The whole thing where it's like I needed people to hate me because that's the only way I can access their powers. That's such a fun idea for that. I really do. I really love that.
Yeah, and I love the
Um,
context that it puts around his betrayal from before, and I really like the reveal where he can't heal.
mm-hmm,
It was fucking good. It was real good.
mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, that's the thing though with this chapter. This was very much like a Billy show off chapter.
It was. It totally
Yeah.
was.
But it's so good. Like as you said, like it really is cool how it retroactively makes a lot of the story fit together a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I am really really happy. I think also the fact that he's called unfair is both funny and really cool. Just because, like, yeah, him having to essentially betray his friends to be able to actually use his power to help them is really unfair.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's funny that it's just
It
called
is fun. Yeah,
unfair.
unfair. It is
Yeah.
funny. Um, I also like that his power is not something that like is easily manipulatable because of how specific it is. Because it's not just like, oh, you have to stop liking me or whatever. It's you specifically have to view him as a threat.
Yeah.
Um, which I wonder if that like would he be able to utilize Unruin's abilities if he manages to make Unruin like afraid of him, because viewing him as a threat is not necessarily liking or disliking. It's just
Yeah.
this person is a danger to me,
Mm-hmm.
which I imagine at this point Unruin doesn't feel because he was just shit talking him the whole time. But like,
Mm-hmm.
if Billy manages to get him to the point that he starts worrying, would that make Unruin's abilities accessible?
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of what makes this ability busted. Is that if you're already winning a fight and your opponent, who's a negator, becomes afraid of you because you're winning, you're just going to win harder.
You're right, because you're going to gain access to their abilities too. And it's
Yeah.
also nice because they can't really cheese it. Like Fuko and Andy can't fake being threatened by this person who literally just explained to them that he's always been as benevolent as he's been able to be. So
Mm-hmm.
he can't like pull Unluck out of his ass at the last minute through some bullshit
Yeah. Also, I like the fact I like the explanation as to why you could never use Unlock because Fuko is just such a kind person.
that she never like viewed him as a danger. Yeah,
Yeah, just as someone to be like saved and someone to be talked down. Like, man, I love Fuko.
Fuko's great. Still one of the
Yeah.
best characters in Jump right now.
Yeah, like it's weird because on one hand she like if you just sort of squint at her character arc, she very much sort of feels like a damsel in distress a lot of the time. But she has so much agency and like her character has so much influence over the plot that it feels less like a damsel in distress and more like a heroine who touches a bunch of people's lives in very positive ways. And I think that's a really cool reframing for a female character in Jump. Because, of course, you know, when we're talking about Shonen Jump, the bar for female characters is not crazy high,
No,
right? Like,
it sure isn't.
um, so it's nice. Obviously, I'm a guy, so I might be out of my depth here, but I do think she is, in my opinion, a really solid reframing of a female character within a Shonen Jump series like this. Especially because this feels like such a this feels like such a dude bro series
It
sometimes,
does.
right?
It really does. Especially when it's battle focused. It feels
Yeah,
like such like a Chad series where everyone like, yeah, oh, my sick ass power does this kind of thing. But
yeah. So it's especially cool that a series like that has someone like Fuko because remember, kids, true Chads love and respect women.
that's true. I think I kind of like that aspect of this series a little bit more though, because like you said, Fuko kind of feels like a damsel in distress at times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it's by virtue of the fact that she doesn't really seem to fit in the way that the lore works with anyone else. Like
Mm-hmm.
her power is very unique. She's constantly like outside the rules with people, like Billy, who he could always manipulate other people to get the power that he needed, but not her. And
Mm-hmm.
then like it's a very combat focused series, and she can't really engage in combat in that way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like her power is crazy strong, but it can't really be used for fighting, in the sense
Mm-hmm.
that like Andy or Billy can use their powers to fight. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just, damn, I really like Fuko.
Yeah. Also, can I just say that we just talked about how good of a female character she is in Undead Unluck? You know, the series with the first chapter.
The first chapter of Undead Unluck, and we don't even need to explain it further than that because everyone knows what we mean.
Yeah, like it's insane how far this has come. Like I no, I'm not gonna say it. Like I was gonna say that I feel like this almost makes up for it, but I can't say that because honestly, that again, not a woman, so I cannot actually like confidently
Yeah,
say that.
yeah. Just
Um,
was icky is not icky now. That's all we
yes,
can say.
it's putting in work, and as far as I'm concerned, I appreciate
It's
that.
it's doing
Let's
the
put it.
rounds to make its public apologies.
Yes, I have made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. John Shonen Jump. Okay, do we want to move on?
Yes. Next up is Sakamoto Days.
Which was all right.
It was fine. It was kind of very much like just kind of recapping what happened and then some setup for some stuff in the future.
Mhm. I like the new like assassin guy.
The one with the 3 section staff.
Yes, he's cool. I like that scene that we get where he just cuts people apart.
Yeah, he rips those 2 dudes in half. Or 3 dudes,
What
yeah.
5 dudes actually, because there's 2
Oh
still
yeah, the
hiding
2
behind
behind
him.
the walls.
Which is also just such a funny visual. They're just floating. But I like it. I like how abrupt it is, especially like with the panel beforehand, like, oh, we have to be invisible with our intent to kill. I do think that's, if nothing else, it's clever, right? To frame it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, aside from that, a surprisingly unnoteworthy chapter of Sakamoto.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have some setup in there sometimes. Just
Oh, absolutely. Like it's kind of just, yeah,
is
we're
what
there,
it
we're
is.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we want to go into the top 3 if we don't have anything to say?
Yeah, I really have nothing to say about this, to be honest. So yeah, we'll go
Okay.
into the top threes, starting with My Hero Academia.
All right. First of all, 8th anniversary of the series, probably the last one actually, which is cool. The like the color spread at the start is super nice. I like how almost every character that's ever appeared in the series is in it. Like you can zoom in and find like random people that haven't appeared for hundreds of chapters. Like you can find the 2 like UA students that were trying to bully class 1A to not do the concert at the culture festival.
That's
Yeah, like you
funny.
can find almost everyone here. And more importantly, the only character that's excluded is All for One, which I very much enjoy.
Good. Fuck him. Get
Fuck
out of
him.
here.
Um, so yeah, that's very cool. Right off the bat, the whole thing with the like business class students having to like regain public trust by almost sort of making this whole fight a viral event. That's cool. I like that. That's like classic My Hero goodness, in my opinion. That feels like when the whole Stain video goes viral in universe and that like catalyzes villains. That's good shit. I like that
Yeah,
because
well,
it's
because
something that
it
you.
fits sort of with the whole narrative that My Hero has had for a while, and then kind of almost felt like dropped off. That like hero society is largely manufactured, and
Yes,
that it's
exactly.
mostly not real. It's people doing a job, and it's really good PR spin that makes it
Yeah.
different than what it is. And for a while, it kind of felt like it was going away from that almost, because it felt like the villains were starting to be portrayed as unambiguously evil, and the heroes were starting to be portrayed as unambiguously good. So I kind of like that
Mhm.
we're touching on that again.
Yeah, and I like how you use the word manufactured. Like I would say also like it's highly performative. Like it's hero society is by itself just defined by routines and the image of heroism, or was pre-collapse, and now having like now getting to see that a part of regaining that world is videography and is swaying public opinion. That's, as I said, it's classic My Hero goodness. It's the kind of shit that I want more of. Also, Caleb Cook, the translator, I love you for including the line, "We're sky high at UA." You slick man. Because everyone already calls My Hero a Sky High spinoff. So that is very funny. Um, but yeah, no, this was actually a fine chapter. Like, Bakugo gets a cool solo fight, which he's been in desperate need of. How
Don't
are
know
you the
about fight,
Deuteragonist?
but yeah, I mean he does
Yeah, I mean,
try to hit someone.
what kind of Deuteragonist are you? And you've never had a solo fight? Like, come on. So this is cool. The double spread that we get of the explosion is really nice. Um, I kind of can't believe how heavily injured Bakugo gets here. Like, this is something I would have thought is reserved for side characters or people who have death flags, like Endeavor. I didn't really expect Bakugo to lose like half his face and an arm,
Well, his arm's
of
just
all
broken.
things. I mean, if you look on page 10, that angle does not look like they're gonna fix that one.
Page 14, he's just there holding it. And I mean, this entire series was based on the foundation that Deku spent a year just turning his bones into paste. So I feel like a little smooch from that old lady, and he'll eventually be fine.
I guess. Imagine, oh god, I don't know if you noticed, but the quirk of the old lady has that one blurb where it's like, if you try to heal an injury that's too severe and the person isn't like energized, it will heal the injury but kill the person. Imagine that happens to Bakugo.
Ah, it's wild.
That would be funny. Um, but yeah, just a lot of cool shit happening here. I absolutely fucking hate that this is uh Shigaraki for one instead of just Shigaraki,
Yeah.
because All for One has not earned these cool shots whatsoever. Um, but I do like how this chapter and sort of the last fight we had with Dabi and Todoroki, how it also focuses on like the destruction of monuments. You know, you had the All Might statue melting, and now you have Shigaraki standing in front of a broken UA, and it's like the villains are in a very real way like tearing down the symbols of the hero infrastructure. Um, you know, we had All Might statue is more of an emotional symbol, whereas UA is obviously a very functional one. And so that's really cool. I do like that a lot. But who cares? Mirio's back.
Yeah, time to get into the shitty parts.
Okay.
Um,
Do you have something you need to get off your chest immediately?
there's a few shitty parts. One, the dialogue feels very like MCU-ish in a lot of this, where I'm like, oh, I gotta make weird
Mm-hmm.
referential comments. Um, two, obviously Mirio, because he has somehow gone from like one of the best characters to just poison. Every
Mm-hmm.
time he appears, it's bad. Um, boy, this was stupid that he's just here now. Um, and there was one other thing that bothered me that I don't remember what it is now, so it must not have bothered me that bad.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, God, the dialogue feels, and man, I really don't want Mirio to be back.
I will say, a lot of what I disliked about Mirio and the War Arc was predicated on the fact that he hadn't appeared for so long. So him coming back on like on paper does fix some of my issue with that, because now you know his war thing wasn't just one and done and he just drops off the face of the earth. That is good. However, uh, you know, too little, too late is a term that
Yeah,
exists.
like what were you doing?
Yeah, he was just on holiday. You know,
I've
he
seen
was.
some people, because apparently there's a throwaway line in the beginning that it says the messenger bodyguard is going up, and so that could have been what he was doing. Um, he was like running intel between the bottom and the top because he could go through the ground and not have to do anything because there's like the communication
Oh,
blackout. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so he may have been like
Okay,
running intel or something. But at the
okay,
same
that's cool.
time, you guys said he was almost the number one hero like a few chapters ago.
Well, that
Maybe
and also like he should have appeared after the war, like immediately.
yes.
You don't bring a character this major back into the story and then have him on sabbatical again for uh 70 chapters.
Well,
Like
it's funny
no.
because his entire role at this point seems to be like, oh, I know he's popular, so if I end a chapter with a cliffhanger of him, it's automatic hype, like it's free hype, right?
Mhm.
Um, I'm sure some people were probably hyped about this somewhere. Um,
Yeah, sure.
probably. But another thing for me is like, had he not appeared in that dumb shit in the beginning and like punched two Nomus and done nothing else, this
Mhm.
would have been a cooler return.
Yes, right?
Had he
If
just come back right here instead of
yeah,
that really stupid like, oh look he's here, he's gonna punch a Nomu and then do nothing and then vanish again for a
yeah.
hundred chapters.
Like pepper in like scenes of him with Eri beforehand, like maybe during the war, like he's frustrated at the fact that he can't help and he's with Eri, something like that, like something to give us the breadcrumbs, and then have this reveal that oh he has his powers back. That would be so fucking good, right? That would have been such a great actual way to have him back, because I'm assuming he's gonna actually do some real shit here.
He's gonna
Um,
have to because they're
yeah,
getting their shit wrecked. Like they're running out of
yeah,
options.
yeah. This would have been. I'm actually like thinking now if nah, I don't know. Like I was thinking maybe there are hints that this was actually the way it was supposed to go, and the other one was like a we need to hype kind of thing. but I can't back that up, so discredit that. But yeah, no, I think this would have been a much superior way of bringing him back into the story, because now this just feels kind of redundant and awkward. Because if you
Yeah,
know,
it's almost like what's the like because again, had he come back here for the first time, like he'd never been in it before. Well, I mean, obviously, other than the parts, but like the war shit, he didn't show up in, and yeah, he could have been in the background or whatever, or even just not there. Like,
mhm,
had this been his first return, like right after Bakugo's getting fucked up, and he appears like at the last minute, still because the war part that he showed up in kind of killed all of the street credit that he had of like this is the guy that gets shit done. Like, like the big damn hero moment that he had with Overhaul and Eri, like his return kind of ruined that. He went from people saying he should have been the main character the whole time to like a bit of a pariah, like, oh god, it's
mhm,
this guy. He would still have none of that would have happened. He'd still have his general hype, even though it's been a long time. And like it would have been a fantastic moment also, because his whole thing was that Night Eye wanted him to be the next one to get All for One, or One for All, because he was the most similar to All Might. And then this would have been him showing up at the dark moment, making the audience feel like, oh my god, it might be okay now.
mhm. Because
And,
I
and
am here.
right, giving you a little bit of that moment, even if it's not the characters in universe aren't feeling it, it would have been a good moment for the audience to feel it. Um,
Yeah,
Now it's
and
just kind of
also,
like, I mean, neat. Like I do like him still. I don't like hate Mirio as a character, but he
mhm.
just kind of feels like narratively the poster boy for how misused characters can be in this series.
Yeah, yeah, because the thing is, right, like his big absence since the war and his absence in general would have not been a problem if he hadn't like come back into the war for 1.5 chapters. Because if he had not appeared there, this would have been sort of, as you said, like a triumphant moment, like, oh, he's regained his power, as long as, you predicated it with a little bit of build-up, actually have scenes of him dealing with Eri. I do hold my ground that that's something that you do need to do, because otherwise you kind of just pulling rabbits out of a hat. But if that whole thing in the war hadn't happened, him being gone from the story would not have been a problem. But because we got that like blip of him saying, by the way, my entire character arc is resolved, I'm here, okay, I'm gone, it just killed all hype for his story. So this just feels kind of unearned and flat, which is a huge shame. Um Maybe if he does something cool, that'll be hype, but it's kind of whatever to me at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the meme is like, what? Where have you been? What have you been doing? The explanation of like, oh, he's been running messages or whatever is like fine. It's not the worst. Like that would be a useful thing for him to do because there's no electronic communication, so someone
Yeah,
would have to be doing that. But
and he
like,
can fast travel.
right, he can just slip through the floor and talk to them and then go right back up. But at the same time, it's like fuck, like damn man, it feels so
Yeah,
like a moment that could have been something really great is instead kind of like reduced to a meme almost. Because
yeah,
instead of
because
like the triumphant return of this character, we've got like the image of Nejire and Sun Eater like beat to shit near death, and then this dude popping out pristine, untouched. Like, I guess
mm-hmm.
I will also participate in the story now.
Yeah, yeah, because again, that's the thing. Like, if you would have had after the war, he comes back, whatever, he does something actually substantial, whatever that may be, and then you actually keep showing him. You actually tell us, okay, he's actually still there. I think that also would have been less of a problem. But specifically because he shows up and then just vanishes, yeah, it kind of becomes a meme. I've seen Asa on Twitter making that fucking weekly post of in memory of Mirio Togata, who died of dysentery off screen. You know, because
Yeah,
yeah, he might as well have.
yeah. And like, even in this instance, I feel like you should have shown him before this point doing that job, if that job was what you gave a shit about. Like,
Hmm.
if you wanted there to be a big thing about like this is where Mirio is, he's gonna come in later, you probably should have shown him doing that. because now, like I said, it's become almost like a giant joke of like what has Mirio been doing? Nothing. Who nobody knows. And even the supposed explanation is just someone hoping that they're right. And we might get it next week. But like if he's gonna come in and have a big impact, don't you think it might have been nice to see him like struggling with the notion that he's more useful in the capacity of running information than he would be on the battlefield, despite wanting to be up there fighting? And so the decision by him to join the fight anyway, because Bakugo's hurt and someone needs to be up there, would feel a lot more like acceptable on the palate than it almost it comes off like a joke. They're like, oh, Bakugo got his arm ripped off. Haha, okay, I'll fight now. Like waiting for this kid to get mauled before I step in. I don't know. It's just I feel like it would taste better if it didn't feel once again like Mirio's popping up out of fucking nowhere. Literally in this instance, because he just comes up out of the damn floor.
Yeah. Also, that pose is supremely funny.
Oh yeah, where I guess it's supposed to be him like using his hands to pull himself out of the ground. I don't know. It looks really. He's got no neck.
Well, yeah, he's pulling. It's sort of like a upward shot of him pulling himself out of the ground. But to me, it just looks like what I see during sex versus what she sees. You know, like it just that pose looks way too sexual. I'm sorry. You found me out. I'm a Mirio fucker. And this unsettles me. Yes.
Oh my god.
I like my manga characters like I like my coffee, with no concept of what sex is.
Yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say on it, is that Mirio's a really good character, and if he was used correctly more than one time, that'd be great.
Yeah. But either way, I think this chapter was actually really good, aside from that. Like, I liked 80% of it. Like,
yeah,
my
it
only
was nice
issues...
to see some thematic stuff actually getting touched on again that felt kind of abandoned for the sake of rushing to the finish line. It's nice to get that stuff, and My Hero used to be really good at that stuff, so it's nice to see it making a return, even in a capacity where, like, because we had that whole thing after the war where they were like, oh, the fake heroes are all quitting, and it's just the real heroes who are staying now. Even with all of that, like, Hero Society was always more interesting to me than any individual hero was. So it's nice to actually be talking about and giving a shit about it, as opposed to just like, now it's just the good guys and the bad guys punching. Because ultimately that's what the conflict has been about this whole time, right? It's not like, oh no, well, okay, I guess it kind of is now that All for One is still here, because God hates me, I guess. I don't know why All for One is still here. But when it was Shigaraki doing his thing, it was a lot more about, like, Hero Society sucks, and it fucks people over who are different and like us. Like, you know, I think it was Pineapple who basically said Shigaraki kind of has the vibes of wanting to be a hero, but he got gaslit into being a villain instead. That is interesting to me. And, like, his take of, like, we're gonna tear down the Hero Society in general is a lot more compelling of a plot point to me than I'm gonna be Jeff Bezos but eviler. Which I mean, we could talk all day about how All for One sucks, and but you know, whatever. But getting back to the point of we will again, yes.
Yeah, because as the cover shows, he's fucking back. He's not dying.
Yeah, he's
why
not
else would he be on the cover
ever? But like the concept of it being not just about, oh, we have to stop the bad guy who is bad from doing bad things, but being about preserving people's faith in not just heroes, but like society as a whole. Way more interesting than punching capitalism.
Yes.
As much as I would like to do that.
Yes. But as I said, like, I would say I liked 80% of this chapter. Like, my only issue is really the fact that this is All for One talking for most of it, and Mirio. And even with Mirio, as I said, I think on a base level, the fact that he's back in the story is good, with an asterisk. Like, it's good because it doesn't make his moment in the war completely pointless.
Yeah, I'll call it clumsy as a nice way to preface it. Because again, I do like Mirio. I'm glad to see him here, but
Yes.
It could have been handled
Also,
better.
page 15, that Shigaraki, I I I would love that to be turned into like a double spread for the volume release because that's such a raw picture.
Yes, that is a really good shot.
Yes, or like something like that. Hell, make it a cover. I just want. I am a sucker for good Shigaraki art
Oh, that'd
because
be
I
a good
think
that'd be a really good volume cover.
yes, exactly. Like I think Shigaraki is one of those designs that just keeps getting better every time it's changed up. Because like at the start, he's like wearing his pajamas and he has like all hands, and then by the time the war arc comes around, he's like half naked with a cape and with flowing white hair. Like that shit's so cool. I need more of that. But yeah, My Hero was good. I'm glad that it's been good now for a couple of weeks in a row. Um, I don't think it'll ever quite get me back. That post-war period was rough, but if it's doing well, I'll be happy.
There you go. It's like looking up your ex on Facebook.
I guess. As I said, I do not I do not condone my manga characters and my manga series getting involved sexually with me.
Okay, I respect that.
I do not condone that.
All right, are we ready to jump?
Yeah, of course.
All right, so the next one is going to be Jujutsu Kaisen.
For once, not on number one.
But yeah, well, Fujimoto coming back has that effect sometimes. It was a good chapter though. It was funny in places. I really like when Kamo gets ready to fight Kenjaku, and he's like, no. Let's just leave. Just get out. I don't give a shit about doing this. I don't. You're like, complete waste of my time. Just get out. It's fucking hilarious. I like again that right after that happens, Kamo gets humiliated a second time because he's like, "Oh my god, I literally can't follow this fight. I have no idea what's happening." Not a huge fan of Naoya coming back. Not because I don't think he should come back, but because it feels a little too soon. Because the last time we saw Maki, she killed Naoya to show off her new power, and so now it's like, really? Is she gonna do that a second time?
Well, I think what I've seen around most people speculate is that he's gonna become to her what the like slug spirit was to Toji.
Which
As
is
in,
weird
like,
on its own. Like, why would that happen?
I mean, Naoya, the raging misogynist, forever being doomed to be the tool of a woman. I'm fine with that.
I am
I'm on
fine with
board.
it, but like, what? We don't even know really what the slug spirit was, or like why it worked with. Like, does she have some way to like force a spirit to help? Like,
well, in Toji's case, it wasn't it that he used it to conceal curse stuff inside of it, and
right,
then
similar to the
he
way that
swallowed
Maki
it.
uses Megami Shadows. Yeah, but we don't know why the spirit was okay with doing that. It was just, I'm just gonna hang out on this boy's back and eat his knife. Nor do
You
we
would
know
do
why.
that to Toji.
Well, sure, but I don't.
Don't pretend.
Oh god. But like I have to feel like there would be some reason why Naoya would do that. Also, it's really funny that he's a worm. I like that.
Yeah, I just, as I said in the intro, I think Naoya becomes an infinitely better character if you think of him as a gag character.
That he's meant to be funny. Yeah.
He hates women so much.
Yeah, well, it's kind of that Dio effect, right? Where like
Yeah,
it's such a comical amount of evil that it becomes funny instead of actually being like horrific.
yeah. Like, when he's like hovering over her, and he's like this awful worm, and he's like, "Hello, Maki." I'm like, "Oh fuck." That's the other thing. I think one cool thing to do with Naya is just make him a reoccurring villain, but never make him like a big threat. Always have him show up, get beaten in 2 slashes, but every time for whatever reason they don't manage to kill him with cursed energy.
So he just
So he
keeps
always
reincarnating
as a slightly different worm, slightly bigger.
Oh, it's so funny to me that he's a gross worm because he died crawling.
Yes. Oh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, because he died crawling on his belly, and now he's a fucking nasty worm spirit.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that's one of the like part of that chaotic energy that I like about Jujutsu Kaisen. where it's a serious story for the most part, and then you have the fucking misogyny worm descending from heaven.
To fucking fight Maki again.
Yeah. I mean, he came down to that town, and the first thing he did is harass a woman. Like,
It's
you
true.
can't make it up.
Yeah. The dude hates women so much. What was it that I said? Yeah, he not only did he steal the volume cover from Maki, but he stole the dramatic revival from Nobara.
Yes. Oh yeah, of course. He came back before Nobara.
Yeah. He had to make sure he did it before a woman did.
But yeah, no. I do get the complaints with it. It does feel a little too soon. But again, to me, Naoya is kind of just a gag character, so I don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, for me, I think it's not just too soon, but it's that like it's the exact same purpose that he was here before. Was like, oh, I'm here to be, the big bad badass enemy to show you how strong Maki is, and now he's about to do the same thing. So there's the only like way that we really avert that is one, I guess he becomes Maki's shoulder worm, which maybe, or two, Kamo contributes in some meaningful way to the victory here, which maybe. I feel like Kamo is one of the most superfluous characters in Jujutsu Kaisen right now, because, like, we have him but better in Choso, and he doesn't fucking do anything ever. So, this might be his moment, because, again,
I said it.
Naoya's only losses in the series so far, granted his only fights, but also his only losses have been 1 to Maki and 2 to a blood manipulation user. So,
yeah, but, I think I said it when we first saw Kamo again. He has the energy of a divorced end of series shonen protagonist.
Yeah.
Except he's not a protagonist and was never married.
He definitely has the Naruto cut. The I disappoint my family on a consistent basis cut. It's impossible for me to get hype about Naruto Kamo. If someone out there is excited that he's here, grats to you. The Miwa shot of her walking through the ruined city was more exciting than seeing Kamo back and fighting.
Yes. But yeah, this was a fun chapter. I always enjoy Naoya being a misogynist.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we're not gonna get the follow up to this fight for another week because Jujutsu Kaisen is off next week.
Yeah, it is a weird cliffhanger to leave on for a week break.
Yeah,
or like the 2 week wait.
I need to see what happens with the misogyny king, but it is what it is. All right, well then that will put us in with our number 1, which is the triumphant return of Chainsaw Man.
Yes, chapter 98 specifically. Bird and War. So Fujimoto still has it.
Yes. Yes.
God, where do we even start? Like, on a basic level, I love the idea that we're now going to see the story from the perspective of an antagonist. From the perspective of someone who wants to actively hurt and defeat Denji. Because I feel like that's a good way to treat your previous protagonist, right? To sort of treat him as this goal to achieve. And also, it's just such a Fujimoto sequence of events from start to finish. The fucking chicken devil of all things.
Yes, the little chicken devil. This man made a chapter of a series that was 53 pages long, and at least 20 of them were dedicated to a headless chicken making chicken jokes, and it still lit the internet on fire.
Yes. Also, the fucking panel where she squashes him that's what Fujimoto is, right? It's goofy, it's stupid, it's brutal, and kind of like, no. But it's also
because despite how stupid it is, you kind of like Bucky, you kind of get attached to the dumb little chicken devil.
Well, that, and also it's just such a dumb way for him to die.
Yeah, so her tripping on top of him.
Yeah. And also, then later, of course, this goes into the reveal that this was premeditated by the other, by the class prez, and I especially like, and this is very Fujimoto, just a casual reveal that the teacher's a pedophile.
Yeah, just like they don't even really dwell on it. They just kind of mention it, but it
Well,
changes
yeah,
the context of the entire interaction in the whole chapter.
yeah, it reframes them completely, and it's something that Fujimoto does a lot, especially what was it? Fire Punch does that a lot, where like a seemingly whatever character you learn an incidental detail about them that is not dwelt upon, but it changes the way you look at certain interactions. Like is there a single one that I can actually say like now without us getting age restricted? Because Fire Punch is intense, but there's like one guy where you think, oh, he's just kind of a regular dude, and then you find out what he likes to do in his free time, and it's just sort of shown once, and you're like, oh god, I never want you on screen again. Like fucking disappear. Um, but so yeah, that's an interesting detail, and I also think it's cool that her first kill is a pedophile teacher.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty awesome.
and I like the concept that she's trying to restore a concept that Chainsaw Man has eliminated, because
Mm-hmm.
one, apparently that's possible, which we did not know up to this
Mm-hmm.
point. Um, and two, it opens up a lot for like the future as well, because you know, killing Makima didn't make the concept of control go away. Like he's
Yeah.
got that little kid now, so we're not really entirely sure how Chainsaw Man's whole erasure thing works. So it'll be interesting to see that more. Um, I don't know if it was intentional or if he just draws this way, but I like the shot of her walking away from the explosion of the president and the guy,
Mm-hmm.
because it looks just like the final shot of Goodbye Eri.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same
It
pose and
does.
everything, which I
Mm-hmm.
thought funny. And I don't know. It's dark humor, but I liked her sticking the sword of the teacher into the monster before she blew it up, and then they kissed, and she called it a happy ending right before she blew them
Yes.
up.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Also hand grenade
Yep, and it's a
out of the
literal
guy's
hand
hand.
grenade.
Yeah. That yeah, and it's interesting because now we're dealing with like a I'm assuming this is a big deal that it's a war devil. Because obviously war is one of the four horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to me that it can exist and remember things even after Chainsaw Man has eaten them.
Well,
So to me
Makima
that
could
sort
do
of
that too.
yeah, exactly. So that sort of goes back to this idea that some devils are powerful enough or fundamental enough that they aren't affected by Chainsaw Man's mind wipe, so to speak. And to me, that just opens up the possibilities of are we gonna get a Four Horsemen arc? Are we
Which I
gonna get
think is possible, because another one of the things that Chainsaw Man got rid of was AIDS, which is obviously a terrible illness.
yeah,
Um, so
that would be
it's
pestilence, right?
yeah, pestilence slash plague, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that would be one. I don't remember the full list of stuff that Chainsaw Man ate, because it was just a bunch of like historical references to bad shit in the past. Um, but it does fit with War being the first one, that the ultimate villains of Chainsaw Man may be something similar to like the Four Horsemen kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as I said, I'm just super into the idea of seeing this from the perspective of the War Devil, and sort of building Denji up as a thing to be overcome. Because then when we do get the confrontation, and oh my god, that's going to be a chapter that lights the internet on fire when Denji comes back.
Yes, because
Um,
I mean, spoilers for next week. He is not yet.
no, he hasn't.
So you know the whole world's gonna explode when he finally is on page again for the first time.
If we ever get like a mindscape or like a hallucination on Denji's part of Makima, that chapter is going to explode the internet because the internet's fiending for new panels of her.
Yeah. I imagine that Makima will make an appearance just because of like popularity's sake. Um,
Yeah. Well,
but
I
I
mean,
don't think that I don't think she'll.
her reincarnated version kind of has to.
Well, yeah, the reincarnated version will appear, but I don't know that we'll see too much of actual Makima outside of maybe a flashback here or there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But yeah, the reincarnated control devil will definitely appear.
Yeah, which is interesting because I wonder how the realization that Chainsaw Man is like fostering her, basically, if that will affect this girl and the War Devil, how that will sort of work. So yeah, no, I'm so happy that Chainsaw Man is back. It's really, really good right off the bat again. And I also just like the art as usual. I like sort of when you go to the double spread on page 48 and 49, just Kishimoto Fujimoto goodness when the sound effect is cutting the monster in half.
Yes, I really love that shot of just the monster getting sliced in half. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Also, wait, did I miss it or did they say why this girl could just transform?
She made a pact with the Justice Devil,
Oh yes,
which
there
is
we go.
also
Okay,
funny
just forgot.
because the Justice Devil is defending a pedophile.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't want to overread into things, but that certainly has some context to it.
Well, Fujimoto is someone who is deeply political.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the sooner y'all wake up to that, the better. So, yeah, no, very, very happy that we have it back.
Okay,
Do you
so
have anything
I
else?
found the list of things that Chainsaw Man ate that Makima says.
Okay,
It was
perfect.
Nazis,
Good.
Arnold syndrome. Never heard of that before.
That's fake.
Okay.
There's
Second
fake
World
stuff
War.
in between it. Yeah.
Okay. AIDS, nuclear weaponry, and then two things I've never heard of that could be fake or could just be me being ignorant is whatever SOA is.
Yes,
Sons of
also
Anarchy,
fake.
the TV show.
It's all yeah. He ate the TV show.
It was that bad. And then the Hio Mountain eruption, which I recall someone saying didn't happen, but I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of like because she also mentioned stuff like the star that broke children's minds and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So we have stuff in there that certainly fits for the other horse. Obviously, AIDS and whatever the syndrome is certainly sounds like an affliction.
Mm-hmm.
Fit as pestilence. And then we have war, famine, and death, which I don't know how you
Honestly,
eat something that stops famine, but
I mean, honestly, almost all devils in Chainsaw Man probably interact with the concept of death anyway. So
yeah.
but it would be cool. It feels like it would be an appropriate way to go for the series. But yeah, do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. Excited for Chainsaw Man to be back. Fantastic series. Big fan of it. Ready to see more of it.
Absolutely. And yeah, I am very, very excited to see where Fujimoto takes us next.
All right. Well, with that, I think it's as good a time as any to call it an episode. Successful shonen and also chilling has happened.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
And as always, is our sign out. We have shonen and chilled, as we
Yes,
always
that's
say.
that's what we always say.
We've
Yeah.
always been saying that since the beginning.
Yeah, because that's what we call you guys. You're the chillers.
The chiller.
Yeah, of course.
Chiller Nation.
The children with two L's. What are you talking about?
I'm turning it off. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.